Herbie Hancock's Rocket. For those of you who are unaware of the brand iLoud, which I will complain about every time I review something from them, and I apologize, but you could definitely tell they sort of formed their whole IK multimedia thing, and it was like, I don't know, call it the iLoud. People love iPhones and iPods, whatever year that was. Do not ignore because of the name, because these are some of the best speakers on a desk, period. And you know how I can tell you that without any sort of like, oh, Zeos is just saying that because he loves to say he loves everything. Fuck you, number one. Number two, I've purchased every set of iLouds I've ever owned except for these. The company finally reached out. I bought the iLoud Micros. I bought the original MTMs, which are on my computer desk upstairs. So my computer that I use since I moved into this house, when I was like, oh, I have a computer desk up here. I have a 4-inch monitor. I gotta pick speakers. I don't know. Let's pick some speakers. I got all these fucking speakers. I chose the iLoud MTMs with infinite choices. I chose the iLoud MTMs to be my actual computer monitors for my desk. So just put that in your brain hole. And then I bought there was a 40-watt boombox, which is in use in my kitchen. And then they sent me these, and I'm like, because we are back to, we'll talk about them. We'll talk about the comparisons between the old and the new. We should talk about price. Currently, this pair, Mark IIs, ignore those. Those are bigger. Mark IIs sold in a pair with the Arc mic, which is what you're going to get, which is this thing here, which does the measurements. And one of the reasons that the other ones are on my desk is because they have built-in room correction. $800 for these speakers. And that's it. You spend $799.99 on Amazon, you're done. The older ones, which I still respect wholeheartedly, are $250 each or $500 a pair. So if you're like, all right, Zeos, I want to try this out, but I think $800 is too rich for my blood. I want to try $500. Get the original ones. Get the original ones, just so you know. I'll link the micros, the originals, these, all of it will be linked. So, by the way, we're at my near field desk, which I built in the corner of my basement. There's where I review the speakers, but that's not exactly where you could review desk speakers. This is a makeshift desk, even though I actually do use it as a real shift desk. Oh, my 02 mousepad is filthy. Anyway, 02 mousepad in the description if she's still available. And I'm here because I wanted a wall. Granted, that is a concrete wall, and most people won't have that. I put some sound dampening panels there, held on with blue tack, because blue tack is great. We got that 32-inch Philips monitor. And these are studio monitors, which means you can't just... If you're just a nobody that doesn't know nothing about nothing, let me explain what you need to know about studio monitors. Studio monitors are for the working man. Studio monitors are self-amplified, so you don't need an amp for these. They just are self-powered. But you have to control their volume somewhere else. So either in Windows, you'd have to like raise and lower your volume, get a knob on the keyboard, or use something like a interface, like a Mk2 M2. I am using the Topping D50 Mark III DAC as my source control here. So I have the remote control. I can mute it. I can... Does it switch to Bluetooth? I don't know. Yeah, you have Bluetooth, right? Optical, Bluetooth, coaxial. So we'll look at the back of the speakers in a second. You'll also notice the speakers are up because they come with these stands which allow you to angle them and slide that stand. We'll look at the stand in a bit. But I wanted them up, so I'm sitting here and I'm ear level with right there, and we're good. So now you get them and you plug in signal to them that you're controlling elsewhere, and you plug in power, and they will just work like speakers. That's it. You just turn them on, you adjust your volume here, and they're good. The real reason you're interested in the IK Multimedia iLoud MTMs is when you start doing the correction. So there's software now that comes with these. The upgrade, let me give you the audible upgrade from the original to the Mark II. They've added this logo here, which I've colored in with white paint marker, and then colored that one blue, and then colored that one red, so I know which one is the first and second one whenever I'm setting them up. That's it. Visually, that's all they've changed. From the Mark I to the Mark II, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't notice the little black raised lettering there. But what they've changed inside is what matters. The DSP correction, which I'm a huge proponent of digitally correcting things, especially when it comes to speakers, is leagues better than the original. So the original speakers each came with one of these microphones. I'm going to take it out of its little holder here without breaking it. And it just looks like this. It comes with a 3-pin XLR. You plug it in, it comes with this cable. The cable terminates in a mono 3.5. There is a port on the back of each speaker. You plug into the port, you hit calibrate. On the old Mark 1s, you hit calibrate, you put this where your head went, and it went whoop, 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 and it was done. You unplugged it, you plugged it into the second speaker, you went whoop, 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 it calibrated, it was done. Cat screaming into the hallway, into the void. This new setup comes with very similar, if not the same mic. I'm not sure if they changed the mic, you really don't have to. Measure-up mics have like one job, and they usually do them well enough. But instead of on this new set, you hitting the button, it's doing it whoop, whoop, whoop once. You read the instruction manual, which I had to go and download because it wasn't, I don't know if it came in my box. I couldn't find my box. It's fine. It does whoop, whoop, whoop 4 times per speaker. So it's like, all right, hold the mic, or maybe 4 or 5 times. It might be center, then front, left, front, right, rear, left. Where your head is supposed to be. Not like a room correction. Like when I did my surround sound over there, you got to hold it on the right side of the couch, the left side of the couch. You got to hold it up in the air. You got to hold it on the floor. You're trying to correct a large area. These are studio monitors. When someone's making music, like when Hans Zimmer is like, I must now make music for the most greatest movies. I love Hans Zimmer. He's the best. But when he has to make music, he has studio monitors for him. It's a very private, personal, focused fucking thing. So these studio monitors set up for that exact same purpose. They're not for, you can absolutely hook them up in a room and just have them play in the background and be background speakers or whatever you want to do with them. But their real focus, the reason you blow the load of $800 and then sit down and then get the mic, is to make it so that when my head is here, approximately here, the world is perfect. Everything about the audio is concise and balanced and not screwed up. And I was talking about the software. That's also new for the Mark II. There was no software for the Mark 1s. Here, and luckily it expands as big as you want to make it go. Here is the software. So, shut these graphs off so they don't get confusing for a second. Left speaker, we hit identify. There is 2 full-size USB cables going from each of these speakers to a hub behind the Black Ice and her. There's 2 full USB connections. If you want, that is not send audio to these speakers. That is just to use this software with it. You still need to use something like a Topping D50 Mark III or a Moto M2, something with a volume knob that controls your source. Identify, blinks light, identify, blinks light. You plug them in, it's real easy. You have pull down because in case you have more than 2 of these, because you could do surround sound stuff. You get a center section here that says voice, which we'll play with in a moment. You get a before and after selector, which will show you this is what the mic measured this space when I put it here and did the 5 points. That's what it measured. And then the software, well, the internal calibration hold did this. This is what it measures after the fact. Much closer to baseline. So you can actually put those all on if you want to watch them all. There you go. You can see the before and the after of each speaker. You could also turn that calibration on and off. You used to be able to do that by hitting buttons in the back, but now you can just come in here. I've linked them together. And if I'm playing, wait, off. I know you're not going to be able to hear that. This, by the way, is Maindorf Defend from the Mech Warriors 2 Ghost Bears Legacy soundtrack. Yes. Wow, that is a small thumbnail. Yes, it is from a Mech Warriors game, but shut up. You hear that? Oh, music is music. Don't deny my love for game soundtracks. So, all right, back to the software. We're going to get to the software because this is actually awesome. And one of the reasons you should think about blowing the $800 on speakers like this instead of just, whatever else. I mean, you can get Atom monitors, you can get JBLs. I'm a big fan of Fluid Audio, and I'm a huge fan of Kali Audio. But when it comes time to, sit down and really calculate out the total of like, am I mastering music on this? This helps a great deal. So we've already talked about the top, where you get to turn on and off the befores and after, and you get to pick your things and identify them. Voicing, we're going to ignore for a second because we'll come back to that. Down here, you have a link which connects left and right speaker, because you could disconnect them and then modify that one or this one individually, should you want to. There's like a delay. And if you have that speaker, for some reason, your speaker is further back than another one, you can unlink them and adjust the delays so that they sound correct. You then get to turn on and off the calibration or initiate the calibration, which I don't want to start that right now because then I have to set up and do the whole thing. But you could just do that through this instead of using the buttons on the back. If you do it on the back, there's instruction manuals like you have to hold this button and you press it 3 times. You can do it without the software, just telling you that. I did it without the software. It was fine. It wasn't even that complicated. But, read the instruction manual. You can do it through this, and it'll give you a nice visual aid of where to hold it and when to hold it. And you could disable and enable the room correction. So what else do we have here? Because we're trying to keep it basic for now. Calibration on and off, calibration set, delay set, standby timer. Should you want them to fall asleep, you can set. Then you have 4 buttons in the center, which, if you see there's a white line behind here, that's flat. That's for obviously doing this. If you hit HE 3-way, all of a sudden that white line, and I'll actually shut off the before and after graphs. Now, instead of trying to enable a flat response, HE 3-way, which is high-end 3-way, I believe, this is what it thinks that is. All right, this is the curve that they've measured whatever speaker. And now this speaker will try to, like the Chameleon, transform into the HE 3-way. Or an AMT7, or it says white 90s. Anyone who knows anything about music production will know exactly what they're saying. They couldn't put the name there. But it's white 90s speaker. Wink, wink, nod, nod. In fact, I wouldn't even say it. I'll let people in the comments discuss what they think white 90s speaker is, which, huge giveaway, it looks like shit. But everybody who's ever been in a studio since the 90s to today knows there's a white speaker in there that measures terribly, but everyone judges music on. Which would...
What's her name?
On. Michael Kamen. My shuffle is not great on this computer. This is my main computer, by the way. This is the one that I like. It's up there on the wall, which has a... It's basically not a server, but... there's a monitor, keyboard, and mouse upstairs, and then there's a monitor, keyboard, and mouse down here, and they're all for the one computer. So let's go to Wadruna. Here. So that's it, trying to emulate a white 90s speaker. If I go back to MTM, you just hear it changing. If you closed your eyes... I think the goal with this was, all right, close your eyes. Can we fake another speaker into existence? This is the same technology that I think we should have in electric cars. And if you allow me to go on a tangent for a split second, I do sim racing, or at least I did sim racing, and used to download like a 30 meg fucking zip file, throw it into R-Factor, and then R-Factor would go, okay, this is a rear-wheel drive car that weighs this much, that has this much torque steer, and this is where the throttle response is, and this is the gearings and everything. And I want to take a 30 meg zip file and buy a Tesla that's all-wheel drive and 1,000,000 horsepower, and I want to drop 1997 Toyota Corolla manual into my $150,000 Tesla, and I wanted to look at that zip file and go, oh, so you want this to be a 100 horsepower front-wheel drive only 5-speed manual, and then my Tesla would just go, aight. And I would hit the gas, and it would be like, and it would play the sounds, because of course that 30 meg zip file also contained all the sounds of the car. You wouldn't even need visuals. Just imagine just downloading a car to your car and be like, be this car today. That's what I'm waiting for in electric cars, and I will pimp that fucking idea. And I don't care who steals it. Just give me some credit and let me have one of the cars, because it would be so awesome. It's like, I want a 1980s Australian fucking race car, rear-wheel drive, boom. Everybody fucking Tesla. That'd be great. Anyway, that's what this is essentially doing. You are faking it in a way that it and I almost wonder if, like, how accurate that could be, because when they're obviously measuring those speakers, or all of these things, or all of these things. Remember we came up here? Smartphone. It's a loud smartphone, but I just told it to voice it like a smartphone. Think about the power of this, because you're like, well, Zeos, that's just stupid. No, motherfucker, these are for mixing and mastering music. That means if you are Wardruna or War, wait, and you're playing Outlaw, you're like, all right, we know how this song sounds on our setup, but how will it sound on a smartphone? Or how will it sound on a 49-inch television speaker? I believe that curve. I'm all about, like, I don't believe in measurement curves. Like, as far as, like, don't buy a headphone based on its measurements. Listen to it and then judge it with your ear. I know it's hard to do, and it's like telling someone to go buy a Ferrari to see how a Ferrari drives. But you shouldn't purchase things based on or not based on just a measurement graph. You got to hear many people's opinions first so that you know what it actually is going to sound like. But in the same breath, I believe that's what 49-inch television speakers sound like, and this is what War Outlaw would sound like. Yeah, Sounds like shit, Captain. So we could also choose, apparently this portable Bluetooth speaker is pretty good. I believe that. I don't know which portable Bluetooth, but you also got hi-fi. You got hi-fi floor stander, hi-fi coaxial, hi-fi BW bookshelf 6. And they're all just different curves that it's applying to the correction via the USB. And it's like, now be this, now be this, now be this. And you could then pick either obviously the MTM Mk2s. Its full capability of these, which you hear the bass kick. I don't have the subwoofer on. I'm going to turn the subwoofer on in a second, and then we're going to set the contour to 80 hertz high pass filter so that we can get more volume out of this, which is how I'm probably going to run it. Or we can do a low frequency gentle lift, or live room, or warm low frequency, or mid range focus, or damped room, or extra bottom. Check out Princess Pasta on all her sites. Anyway, this is powerful as fuck. So, I mean, I don't recognize most of these because I'm not a studio expert, but small ALU 29, Classic 31, Classic AMT 7, DN6, I feel like they're not allowed to put the actual names of the speakers they're emulating. But you figure it out. They got white 80s down here, too. I didn't even see that one. Let's see how bad that one looks. All right, let's give it. That is definitely that. Maybe that's the one that everyone knows. And then you got Pro STD, which no one wants to get a professional STD. That's really hard to treat. But you can just go through high-end three-way, which I think is what that is. It's high-end three-way. It actually lit up. And then you go coaxial. It's amazing what is capable. And I can hear I can hear the distance changing. It's being dictated by the DSP. This is wild. This is wild. And here's the thing. You can't really do what this is doing with just any speaker. Because even if you knew how a speaker compares, you'd have to know how that speaker measures versus yours. And since this is iLoud's X Monitor software using iLoud MTM's Mk2s, they know this speaker and what it's capable of and how it corrects. They know the room correction that I've done to it. And then they know that yellow 5 would be this versus that. And they could just emulate it. It's another speaker emulator. Now, when you tell it to be like a hi-fi tower, or floor standing, which honestly rolls off pretty hard. that's a little bit harder to grasp because you're sitting here with your eyes closed. Presumably, everyone uses everything with their eyes closed. And the sound is not coming from the floor and up. It's coming from there. So it's not quite the same. Just like my electric card loading a profile thing wouldn't be quite the same. Like, you're never going to make it like, I want to drive a Mazda Miata in your 5,000-pound all-wheel drive Tesla. Like, you can't remove the weight. But you got to fake it just enough that the steering angles are good, and then you turn, like if you measured the understeer in a Miata, or the oversteer in the Miata, and then the car would have to be like, all right, he's turning. In a Miata, this is what would happen. So instead of giving it only 180 horsepower to the rear wheels, we're just going to bump that up a little bit, and just so it skids out a little bit, we can like adjust that, maybe the front wheels pull, maybe just the right, like, you can fake it, and then you got to fake it real hard to make it like realistic. Let's add a subwoofer. So I'm putting this back to the standard Mark IIs, which, unironically, sounds the best of the group because it's purity of it. It's why a Tesla P100D, when you get one, which I haven't gotten one, and I probably won't get one, and the build quality's kind of shit, and I'm sad that I don't have a Cybertruck, and they would fall apart and rust. But, like, it's obviously going to be the best when you just give it, like, default, I am in the fastest car on Earth. If you tell it to be something else, it's not going to be the best that it can be. Oh, let's shut off the calibration for a second, which is linked, so. And you can just hear it backs up and gets like a little bit, not muted, but like the bass is too much. So by putting on the calibration, if we put on the before and after charts again, you can see that that hump, that 125 hertz hump exists again. Once you shut off calibration, and it just doesn't sound clean and neutral. So I'm going to add a sub by turning this up all the way. It just happens to work out. We've got a bit of a phase adjustment because I'm feeding out of the topping D15 Mark III. We have got TRS going to that speaker, and I'll show you the back of the speaker in a second. Now that we've gone through the software, I'm not worried about the USBs, which are slightly loose, unplugging and disconnecting from this. But I've got balance connections from this going to those. And then I've got the RCA connections, all of them, by the way, Italian-made RI cables, which are insanely expensive, and don't judge me on that. They were sent to me for free. And God, if I'm going to get expensive cables for free, they better be Italian. But I've got an RCA set going across into that sub, which is the RSL XDR 400W. It's an RSL speed woofer. And yes, it's on a speaker stand, standing like there, because I am obsessed with the speakers, the subcrawl. I'll quickly explain the subcrawl. If you're in a space and you know where you're going to be, which is usually in your couch where your head goes, you're supposed to pick up your subwoofer, put it on the couch where your head goes, and then crawl around like a dog, or like I do the chicken bob and weave method, where I just listen for where the subwoofer would sound best for where my head is here, because it reverses. You put the sub where your head's supposed to be, and you put your head where the sub should be, and you play music you know that's consistent in bass, and you find out where it doesn't sound like it's too low or too boomy, and you keep bobbing up and down. And the reason I do the bobbing up and down is because I'm willing to put subwoofers 3.5 feet in the air. That's my big rhythmic sub for my main home theater. The main home theater. It just didn't sound as good on the floor as it did when I lifted my head up. Sub's up there. Did the same thing here. I was going to put the sub there. Nope, didn't sound as good. Put it on a stand. Boom, sub sounds good there. So that subwoofer, now that has it all turned up, will play at the exact same time because it's coming out of the same source box. But these are going to try to play low end, and that's going to take over the low end, so I'm going to have a doubling of low end. And really, I don't want these to play the low end. So now we go to the contour pull down, where we have the options to change some of these. Like if I put on 80 hertz high pass filter, the calibration does not disable. But if I go to large desk wall, which is what this is, calibration turns off because you're basically telling it, like the buttons on the back, which I'll show you. I got to get to the back of the units that you're doing it. So you can then force the calibration back on, and then this just says custom. And then you could hit edit, and then you could see, now we're in the edit thing. So we could adjust our low pass filters, and if we want to adjust the mid, and if we go desk, we go, okay, there, and then we got to bring this over here, and you can set the mids to 2.5. You can start really messing with things. So it's not just like, oh, it just has a measurement mic. You can get in here and manually adjust low frequency extension, low frequency desk, which I believe is, yeah, that's adjusting like this like bias. And you could crank the high frequencies, and then we could just be like, well, I haven't done a thing. Anyway, I hope I can make this not custom. Just undo that. But yeah, you have these options. You have full DSP correction with multi-point low frequency extensions. Like, I don't know what's happening. Don't ask me to tune your shit till I've learned how to use it. Let's get out of that. So there, warm low frequency. Here's an example. Nothing. Right around 400 hertz, it gently starts going up, and then it peaks around 100 hertz, and from 100 hertz down to like 40 or 100 hertz to 50, it's nice and flat, and then falls off. There's a low frequency extension of 40. That's the frequency you want to cut off at. That's how much you want to do. So if you wanted to like, that's too much. That is too much. Also, I don't know if we're going to ever do it, but you can clip these speakers, because any speaker can clip. That means you're pushing the amplifiers too hard or the drivers too hard, and it's bad. You never want to clip anything. These, however, will tell you you're clipping, because the little power indicator, instead of being white, will flash red. Like, fucking stop what you're doing. You're being bad. And then you lower your shit down. Let's get out of this. Let's go to what I want to actually go to, which is 80 hertz high pass filter. But you know what? I want to go to 60. So now we have a 60 hertz high pass filter. So these will still do to 60. You know what? Can we change that a little bit more? Where is it? Can I make that? I can't. Can I type it in to go to 70? I kind of want to go to 70. No, we'll just do 60. So now these won't play anything below 60 hertz, because they're very capable of 60 hertz. And that is set to a frequency response. Let's see. Here's our phase. 0 to 180 is the phase. That's timing adjustment. So it's set to 80. We're going to go down to 60. So now this will do blue LED. Hi. This will do 60 and below, and these will do 60 and above. And it's going to say custom again. We're going to turn the calibration back on, which it won't indicate because we're doing a thing. We come out of the editing mode. We could minimize this, go back to our beautiful the Mark II soundtrack thing. And then we're just going to go to a song. Because here's the thing. These are very capable studio monitors. They can go, again, down to 40 hertz. You have the selection on the back, which I'll show you now because it's going to crash the fucking software. Because the USB here, if I unplug the USB now, the software is going to be like, Your buttons on the back are, the first one on the left, do you want to do 60 hertz, 50 hertz, or 40 hertz? So since I adjusted it to 60 in software, it now matches 60 hertz here. Low frequency button, high frequency button, you get flat, or +2 or -3 on both. We're not going to touch it here because we're using the software. You then get the calibration preset, which if you didn't calibrate with the microphone plugged into the unit and did the unit calibration there or through the software, you can just do desk, which it knows I think there's a wall, is what the desk setting is for. Flat, which is just give me the flat response that you think you know. Or calibration. When you hit hold to calibrate, it then puts you through it blinks the front lights a few times, and if you read the instruction manual, it says hold it here first, and hold it here first, and hold it here first, and you got to keep going back and going through different settings to calibrate it, which is how I actually did calibrate these. And then lastly, you have your sensitivity for your input. Now your input is a combination XLR balanced or TRS, which is a tip ring. I'm sorry, it's TRRS is 4. TRS. I don't know what the S actually stands for, because you can also get these little adapters, which are just TS or just TR. Damn it. Anyway, that gives you RCA. So if you just have an RCA source using a shit DAC, check out if you're an audiophile watching this channel, you're into headphones, and you just have a headphone amp that has pre-outs, that would also work. You just need to feed this thing signal, and it can be an RCA. If you have an adapter like this, it could be a balanced XLR, which you all know what that is, and it can be this, And I'm using this because specifically this little topping just happens to have, this is the balanced output on the back of the topping. So we're going to plug that back in. Now you do have volume knobs here that lock in place at 0. I would recommend leaving those at 0. You can go +6 or down to infinity mute. Leave them at 0, use your source. Now my source here, the little topping, for the volumes I'm getting, which is not quiet, by the way, it sounds weird with just one of them. It's wild. That's Canadian Idiot by Weird Al. We're at -31 decibels here. That means I have 30 more decibels. I can raise that volume, which is why you have to be careful when you're using Windows volume to control it. If you just plug this like with a splitter into your Windows computer or Mac, and you're like, just control the volume on Windows. 30 dB down, the potential to clip like a motherfucker is so high. So just be careful. This is nice and hard to adjust. I do have a remote control I can just adjust or mute. Do all these cool things because I love this topping little DAC, which is a very clean neutral DAC, which is another thing. So you get your buttons, you touch your buttons, volume knob there. Input, you have one input, but you can adapt it to be 3 different inputs essentially. Your ARC mic input, because the microphone itself just has a single mono 3.5 that plugs into that so that it could read what the microphone is saying. You get a power button here, which pops out and in. It uses a full-size AC plug. This is a Monoprice hospital cable, which I love promoting these things because they're like $10. They come rolled up instead of folded, which is so nice. They thick as fuck. And they're clear so that when you're using them in a high oxygen environment, like a hospital, you can see if there's damage or fraying so they don't light the building on fire. And they just look cool. So yeah, that is the unit. Oh, here is the port, which will chuff. This is a problem on the originals, and it continues to, if you try to push bass, like real bass, which these, again, can do because you can set it to 40 hertz. If you try to push incredible low end out of these, you're going to hear it come out of that port. I blame B&W for this because B&W hold the patent that allows you to put the golf ball dimples on ports, which does quiet air as it moves in and out of weird shapes. But they fucking own the patent, and they should just give it up so everyone could do that. Because it would be so much better. But yeah, so you will hear a little bit. It's not a very big port. It's 2 fingers. But you reach inside, you feel it loops down, and God knows what's inside of this. But we're going to take care of that by installing the subwoofer and giving that a split, and then we're setting these to a high pass filter of 60, and that's going to be low pass filter of 60. And let's look at the this is cool. You get degrees here. So I have it currently at 0. You get a quarter. You actually have a stand mount. If you wanted to stand mount these, and I think that's a 3/8 stand. It's basically the same thing you use on a microphone stand. You can buy microphone stands and screw it into the bottom of the speaker and take this stand off entirely. Or you put this stand on, you loosen this, and then this will adjust and give you specific angles. If you know you wanted to be on your desk at a 10-degree angle, you could slide this thing. Oh, I can almost do it. It's tight. But there, now I have a 10-degree angle for the speaker. But since I've built these amazing... Oh, God, you're going to slide, aren't you? Since I built these amazingly resilient and amazing isolating stand towers out of cork and foam... By the way, cork and foam sounds like a really shitty prog rock indie band. Now we're perfect. The foam moved. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Perfect. So... Oh, and I didn't plug this back in. So let me just... Oh, Jesus, God's... Up. In. Do it. Up, in. As long as you're not reviewing it every day, these will stay just fine. So now, we're done. We've got the subwoofer set to play below 60. We've got these set to play above 60.
I never learned my alphabet from A to Z.
I don't know how much of Weird Al I can play. I hope it's all of it, but it probably won't be. Hans Zimmer Seduction from Dune Part 2. It's just... So now that I've taken the load, giggity, off of the speakers for low end and given it to a very, very capable subwoofer, in my office, by the way, the Mark 1s are set also to 60 on the back. They don't have that software to fuck with it, but they're set to 60, and I've got an SVS Micro 3000, which is like a $900 subwoofer. On the other side of my office, under a table, but a foot off the floor, because it had to be like a foot off the floor, so it's on some speakers. And that's how my office is set up. And I'm splitting the outputs of the Mk2 M2 up there. And I would put that desk setup against anyone's desk setup on the earth. And then I come down here, and I'd put this desk setup against anyone's setup on the earth. For like just clarity, image, I guess we talk about how it sounds, because I did all this shit about telling you can make it sound like other speakers, you can correct it to your room, you could add the sub, you can cut it for... How does it sound, Zeos? And it's the best thing you could possibly say about a speaker. I don't hear the speaker. I put on Hans Zimmer's Seduction from Dune Part 2, and I hear what Hans Zimmer should have heard when he previewed it on his setup. There's no exaggeration. There's no, like, oh, the treble is too bright or the mids are too heavy. It's all corrected, all flat, all response has been tailored to this space and to where my head currently sits. And you don't get that with most speakers. And you get that here. I mean, I'm adding the sub, so throw another, I think it's a $500 subwoofer. Add a $500 subwoofer on a speaker stand. But these are $800 on their own. And to just purchase something for $800 that gives you all of that shit to then allow you to be like, I am confident that this is exactly how this should sound. And, you know, they're smaller. They're you know, my whole hand covers like the entire fascia of it. Those are probably 3-inch drivers. It's pretty fucking incredible. I haven't preamped it with like the KN stack to give it like tube warmth. Which I'm wondering if you can go in the DSP and fake in tube warmth too. That's a harder thing because that varies different than transistors would do it, so it's hard to fake. By the way, this is MGM Studios Orchestra Ding Dong Emerald City alternate version from The Wizard of Oz. So this is going to sound like it coming out of an 80s speaker regardless. I can hear. It's right. First of all, it's right there. The imaging is perfect. The timing you adjust by physically moving it, unless you want to do the delay. It just sounds 100% accurate. That's it. But then Zeos, then why would you ever need to spend the $900 a piece on that thing, which is 135 watt, two 5-inch. So these are 3s. This is this, but bigger. And also, I want you to point out, these metal grills are permanent. In fact, did you notice that the power button is flush when it's in? Because these are kind of designed to be portable. The iLoud Micros, which, spoiler, it's Mark IIs are coming, of those as well. But these are designed, you could throw these in a fucking bag and nothing's going to hurt them. These are great speakers if you have fucking children and dogs that are going to fuck with them. Because they're guarded by metal. These coming out of the portable use. I feel like this is a new lineup, by the way. This is only like the last year. I feel like iLoud and their, did I even find them? iLoud. Hold on. Where's Micro? They're micros, which are here, which are cute little baby things. Also, full metal folding thing. They're designed for portability. By the way, I love Firefox. Please support Firefox. Because look, they have a review checker now that lets it look at the reviews on Amazon and actually compare it to like if it looks like it's made up. So fucking thank you, Firefox. You're always helping me out, and I wish I could promote you more, and you'd like to sponsor my channel. Anyway, these are still, as much as I'm like, oh, they're perfect, these are still what I would consider their portable line that are designed to be carried around and not fucked with. That other set, that $900 set, that's them coming out and be like, all right, now, big boy studio monitors. I can't even fathom what that's going to do, considering these do 40. All right, let's get off of Wizard of Oz, please, and fire our guns. Which AC/DC is actually pretty bass light almost always, so the subwoofer is barely doing anything right now. But yeah, it's just... It's just AC/DC playing. Close my eyes, ignore these speakers. The best speakers in the world are usually speakers you can ignore. All right? When you can put them on and be like, oh, I don't give a shit about that. I don't give a shit about nothing happening here. I'm worried about the music. These. So there's a delicacy to the so the tweeter is just like a Tesla P100D, and me talking about loading a Miata in it. You need a Tesla P100D because it's the most capable, that it's the most power, it has all the motors, it's everything, and then you could dial it down to control, and it's all about control. You can't tell, like a fucking what's a shitty electric car that no one likes. Whatever one Jeremy Clarkson says, the Reliant Robin, I think, was electric. Or that's just one with the 3 wheels. Whatever. You can't tell a shitty, cheap electric car to become a Porsche 911 Turbo because it physically can't. You can tell a Tesla P100D to be a Porsche 911 Turbo because it'll just tone down the power and bring it all to the rear end, and there you go. So these have to be very capable speakers to start with. The actual physical hardware has to be good, so that it can then tone it and twist it so that it works in your scenario. And they do that. I'm just imagining their bigger ones can do that even better. Warriors of the Wasteland. A weird remix of Warriors. I have so many Frankie Goes to Hollywood remixes. It makes me sick.
You live by the sorrow, that's your own rule.
That is Watching the Wildlife, bit 1. And there's apparently 4 bits. I don't know. So,
I stay out too late.
Postmodern Jukebox.
Nothing in my
And it's just, it's a depthy. We got this depth that's going on. It just sounds, it's exactly what, if Postmodern Jukebox is, what's his name that runs Postmodern Jukebox, is doing the right job, he's got studio monitors set up just as good as these. And this is exactly what he hears before he hits publish. And that's what you should be looking for. You're looking for speakers that give you what the what the artist intended, not MQA bullshit, but actually what the artist intended because you've purchased hardware that does it. If that's what you want, here you go. Oh, promotion of my second channel. Check out my second channel. I'm trying to put more interesting audio-like videos there. I am changing up my schedule here on the main channel because I can only put out 9 actual review videos a month, and I've got 58 things I need to review before new things arrive. So we're looking for like 12 to 14 videos a month. I have to pick days of the week when I want to release consistently. Patreon subscribe stars to support this channel. They really do. And I appreciate anyone who joins. The $10 chat is where you can go to message me directly. For $5, you'll get a monthly Q&A response. So I don't think I'm going to have one for July because I'm just traveling for CanGem London. I will be in CanGem London showing off Eris. So if you want to show up at the booth, check it out. I'll have like the Hibby FD5 and I'll have the Orchard Audio streamer there if you want to play with that on your stuff. And by the way, I don't hear that sub to my left. That sub is just integrated because that's what the sub crawl does. You don't notice it's there. It's just all part of this sound. But yeah, no, I'm sure this is like a 50-minute review because it feels like I've been talking for a while. And I can't tell you how much I just want to keep going. I will get a sound demo for these done. And unfortunately, I do have to take these off the desk because I've got another more affordable option. The Kali LP UNFs are sitting there. Or there. I have 2 sets because one of them was an early revision. They sent me the newer revision. So those are cheaper, $400, $300. Some affordable amount, but those are also studio monitors with obviously way less bells and whistles. But you know what? I'm probably going to love them just as much. I just know that if I'm just going to master music, which I do occasionally do sound demos, I would trust these. Anyway, I'm done. You're done. We're done. Thank you. Check out all my channels. Check out the new unboxing channel, which should be happening soon, which will have unboxings of things that haven't been reviewed yet, which is going to be rare. And I'm going to move on, and I'm going to do like 30 other reviews. Fuck yeah. All right. Fuck yeah. Anyway, I'm done. You're done. We're done. Links to everything and 02. Kept the waifu off the background because there was a waifu here and there and there and there and there and there. And I'll catch you all in the next one.